What's up, guys? It's me, Matt Garth. Want to say hello real quick and welcome. Thank you for watching. I want to talk to you about consciousness. All right, I want to try to start at the beginning. It's kind of the spiritual journey for beginners. What you might expect, or maybe you skip steps before, and I try to make sure that none of my students, skip steps. So, if you're going to do this on your own, make sure you don't skip steps. So basically, I want to talk a little bit about just what is consciousness. And what I think consciousness is basically just simply your awareness of yourself and how you interact with your environment. Those three things: yourself, your environment, and how you interact with it. That's, when you combine those things, that's your ultimate level of consciousness, right? So makes it pretty easy, right? It's what do I know about myself, what do I know about the world around me, and what do I know about how we interact, right? And when I started this journey, I started to realize I really didn't know very much about any of those things. So this is where you want to start. So, ultimately consciousness is what you allow yourself to believe, right? When you take myself, for example, I tried, I boiled all this stuff down to the simplest things for my own life to live by. And I kind of started to understand that I couldn't really believe anything, right? There's things I just couldn't believe, you know. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to believe anything. I'm just going to exist. Because all I do know for sure is that I exist in this shape or form, and I feel, and my brain thinks, and just whatever's inside me is what I know. Really, that's all I really know for sure. So I try to add what I experience to what I know, right? Or what I can surmise from certain data. Make hypotheses, but you don't truly know. It's like we can feel confident in something, but we also can feel confident in something we actually have no idea how it works, right? So your consciousness is your level of understanding of what you are, who you are, why you are, when you are, where you are, and how you are. So, what you are. So I am, at the most basic level, simply the most advanced animal on the planet. Regardless of any other criteria, I'm part of an advanced species of mammal on a rock in space. Whoa, that blows my mind. I love that. I love that at the most basic level, right, of what we are as an advanced species is awesome, right? We're just an advanced animal on a planet floating through space. That's crazy. So at a more complex level, I'm an extremely complex organism comprised of systems and processes that are autonomous, that span multiple dimensions and filter into various unified fields that ultimately allow a single entity to experience an individual experience to further grow and explore the infinite reaches of existence. That blows my mind even more. Right? So I am those things and everything in between, right? I'm no different than anyone else, right? I'm probably worse than everybody, right, when it comes to most things. I just happen to get this one thing right about my life, and it's helped me and it's helped many others. So I got lucky and found the one thing I'm good at. Everything else, horrible. So don't feel bad if you're not good at this stuff yet. You can be, because all it's helped me do is amplify the parts of myself that I should have been successful with all along. So who are you? Who you are. I am, at the most basic level, a human, just like you. I want to be loved. I care. I want to be cared about. I want to be happy, safe, and secure. And I think everyone shares that sentiment. So, that's the 10,000-foot view of who I am, right? But I also identify with, myself as an individual under the microscope. I'm confident, an eccentric person who wants to do better. I'm healed and dedicated to learning and expanding my own personal knowledge and experience. I want to be an impact on the world for the better. I want to help other people be better versions of themselves. And if I can do it, you can do it. Because I haven't always been this awesome or this great, and it's a lot of hard work, and that's the thing is, and I'm not trying to be conceited, or I'm not trying to be, anything like that. When I say I'm great, it's because, I did the work to to become great, and I will be great someday. So I'm not going to say I'm going to be great someday, right? It's no, I'm going to claim that now. Well, I'm going to go ahead and claim that now, because hey, why not, right? But understanding that it's a reflection of what I see in the world, right? When I see other people as great, right, in what they do, and I want to relate to that. So that's what I'm going to claim, right? I'm not going to put myself in a lower position mentally, because the further you begin to understand your consciousness and your brain, you'll understand the importance of, speaking life into yourself. So why you are, this is one of the best parts of raising your consciousness. No matter what you believe, you could manifest it. But are you willing to accept the responsibility of what you truly want? Most people aren't. And whys can be reasoned in a million different ways. My why is I choose to be here. I choose to do this, right? Long story short, when I, was going to commit suicide and then ultimately didn't, and then when I made the decision not to, it was under the pretext of, I'm going to not let myself get this low ever again, right? It's like I am going to do whatever it takes to be happy. Right, and I'm going to choose to live this life, and I'm going to choose to participate. So I choose to do this. I choose to be here, and I choose to interact in the way that I do. Right, and that's when my life changed. 100%. That's when my life changed. I went from, depressed, anxious, to confident, and, owning business and becoming a business person and becoming confident and successful and helping other people do the same thing. And I didn't even start on myself. When I started this, I dedicated myself to helping other people, right? I didn't start helping myself with this knowledge until recently, right? Like, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm trying to help more people. And it's, that's why I'm making videos, because I'm in demand, and I have to, it's like, oh, I really wish I could talk to you right now, but here's a video that I've made. I hate that I've become that guy, right? But it serves the need, right? And but I mean, that's just part of changing my life. Is like, no, I was not in demand before, right? I haven't changed much. I'm only just being more of myself, and I wasn't in demand before, but now I am, and it's weird, and it's like, well, I better start doing the right thing right now, because I can see where this is going. And you'll start to feel that way about your life in your field. Like, when you start pursuing your dreams, you'll say, oh wow, I better start doing this, because this is starting to happen. And the more it starts to happen, the more it becomes real, the more you have to do, right? And then it becomes all fun work, and life is great, right? But you have to create that happiness, and it does take some work. When you are, I am now. One of the biggest tricks I think the brain plays on us is it tricks us into focusing on our past or the future instead of the present. The truth is, the past has already happened, and the future isn't promised. So when you focus on the now, you will get things done. It's that simple. This is a very simple trick that I used to change my life, right? Simply by focusing on being in the moment. And instead of feeling anxious or worried, I started developing plans. I was like, why am I feeling anxious? Okay, I'd look into it, right? I'd say, I'm feeling anxious now. Why is that? And I would look around, and I'd realize, oh, well, I don't have a rational need to be anxious at this particular moment. And then I could coax myself out of it, because the more introspective things you do for yourself, the better off you'll be, and you'll be able to identify those things. So it's all about, appreciation. It's like I now in the moment, it's like, wow, I get to, spend this time with a friend or a loved one, or it's not, I no longer look at hanging out with other people as a burden, like when I used to. It's strange. It's just the way when you start to raise your consciousness, you just treat things differently. Now, this doesn't give you a full license to be a demon. Don't be selfish and say this is now. Like, you'll be corrected by the universe very quickly if you try to use this as an excuse to skirt on your own duties or your obligations, right? Part of living life in general is just, if you make an obligation, fulfill your obligation, because that's like, it's like quantum energy that you're wasting if you're making obligations and not fulfilling them. Then then it's gonna be in the back of your mind until you reconcile it. You know what I'm saying? So you just do what you can do right now. Like, what can I do? What's the best thing I can do with my time right now, right? And as I started learning, it's like the best thing. Like, I spend a lot of time, alone and away from people, just because I'm very sensitive to energies and things like that. So, I was like, I gotta, and I want to go out and network more and start to accept more students and things like that. But I have to do it in my own way, right? Because I know the way I learn, I know the way I work best, and I know if I'm doing what's best for me, I'm doing what's best for everyone else, because I have everyone else in mind, right? So that's kind of the trick to being selfishly altruistic, is you've got to you've got to align your personal needs with the needs of the all, essentially, and you'll feel better about everything that you do when you're fully aligned. Where you are. I am on a basic level, just on a rock in space with an ecosystem that allows me to experience this life. But we can look at that in a lot of different ways. It's like, where are you in life? Are you satisfied? But again, when you're here now, right? So you're listening to me because you are trying to learn more about your consciousness, right? And that's good, right? So use this synchronization in your path. If you're watching this, you need to further delve into yourself, right? Because I make something with intent, and when I make something with intent, that intent is fulfilled. And I want the people who need this to find it, so they can experience a much happier, much more satisfying life, right? So always be aware of where you are, always. So it's like a video game. The more aware of yourself and your surroundings you are, you'll be able to find creative clues in your life that will inspire you to solve your own problems, right? Just by watching some squirrels fight, you'll gain inspiration for something. I mean, that's how it works for me. I'll be somewhere, and I'll just be enjoying the moment of where I am and realizing where I'm at. I'm like, what can I learn in this situation? I'll be stuck in traffic, and I'll look around. What can I learn here? Or if I'm waiting at a doctor's appointment, it's taking longer than I would like, or anything that tends to make me feel impatient. That's when I kick on the mode of, all right, what can I learn here? If I feel myself getting impatient, I immediately switch over to what can I learn, because that's my indicator. That's my personal indicator of, I need to learn something from this experience when I'm feeling impatient. And the more you align yourself, the more you hone your own abilities of your own intuition, you'll be able to know exactly what your intuition is telling you, and be able to make more confident decisions that way. So how you are. It's also important to always recognize your own level of consciousness. So it's you want to have someone you can talk to, to keep tabs on your mental health throughout this process. Raising your consciousness is going to, take you to places you've never been, expose you to things you never thought were possible. A lot more things become a reality, and that can frighten people if they're not quite ready for it. That's why you shouldn't skip steps. Because it could drive you into a mental illness, right? Because we don't know what this world is. We don't really know, but we know there's laws of physics and whatnot, cosmological constants that allow us to have certain amounts of faith in everything, right? So get you a licensed therapist, talk to someone, a trusted life coach like myself, explain to them your goals and reaching higher consciousness, because again, there is a safer way than just doing a bunch of acid out in the woods, coming out feeling cool for a while and then going back to your normal life, right? I want you to keep your consciousness and live through it, right? And the more you live through it and the more you keep it, the higher you can raise your consciousness. And the higher you raise your consciousness, the more of a benefit you're going to be, not to yourself, but to the whole, right? And that's important to me, and that should be important to you, is being, because you will be happier when you align yourself with a greater cause, right? When you align yourself with a greater cause that also seems to fit every criteria of your own life, when you're able to align your selfish needs with an altruistic cause, then you will, definitely feel, that, and that may be one of the only things that makes some people happy, right? Is not only are they being fulfilled within themselves, but they're also fulfilling a need in the world, and I needed that to be happy ultimately, right? And you may too. So, if you don't, congratulations, just enjoy your job, do what you need to do, but and raise your consciousness, work do what you want, right? Enjoy, that's the thing, it's your own path, right? So, consciousness ultimately, once you answer the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the self, you've attained a level of consciousness that is higher than what you had before. Pretty easy, huh? Right? It's just thinking about it. Just thinking about it for a little bit allows you to say, I have reached a higher level of consciousness. And it's true, right? So now it's rinse, wash, and repeat, right, to gain a higher level of consciousness. It's like, okay, because you have to, none of this is set in stone. Nothing that you're going to learn is set in stone except for the truth. And you'll know what the truth is once you see it, and once you feel it, and once you learn how to tune to the truth, right? You'll know. And everybody's truth is different, but it's all going to be interpreted the same way, right? We're all going to experience our truths differently, but we're all going to be able to say, oh man, I really feel that because I know when I experience that, right? That's when, the deeper you know yourself, the more you'll be able to apply yourself to the external world. That's when the magic really starts. You start, doing quantum experiments and manifestations and things like that. It gets really, really interesting, and I'm still doing a lot of research on all of that. But yeah, no, it's very fun, and it's it's awesome. So definitely raise your consciousness as high as you can, and become what they call enlightened, and you too will then know the secrets of the universe. But you're going to ultimately come into your own energies, right? Well, ultimately, like I said, once you've started this journey, you're going to be feeling like you're separating yourself from the collective, but you'll eventually rejoin the collective just as a better version of you. And as you grow in your own consciousness, you'll be able to gain a better and deeper understanding of the consciousness around you. And you need to do that from your own lens, right? Don't pay someone to tell you about higher consciousness. Explore your own higher consciousness. Pay someone to guide you. If they're trying to force you into things, don't pay someone to force you into something, right? Pay someone that can nurture and guide your growth into higher consciousness, right? Don't get with someone who's going to lead you down a narrow path, right? Consciousness is wide open, and you can do anything you want with it. So what does everything mean to you personally, right? So as you start to raise your consciousness, here's some things that you can expect, right? You're essentially becoming reborn, and every time you raise your consciousness, you're going to be reborn every time. And birth is traumatic, so you're going to experience a lot of emotions, right? You're going to go up and down a lot, right? And until you can master it. So think of it like everything that you've done in your life, you've created an energy pattern in your life that if you don't deal with it, you put it out there, it comes back. If you don't deal with it properly, it's going to keep coming back, and every time. So if you, like, say you keep lending money to the wrong people, right, and you're going to keep running into the wrong people to lend money to, and they're going to keep not paying you back until you learn, well, maybe I don't have enough money to be lending people, and I should be taking care of myself better, right? So, right, simple things like that, right? Those are the energy patterns that you've created in your life, right? And you have to break them. And as soon as you break them, they don't come back unless you let them back. You know, they'll try to come back. They'll come disguised as something else. But once you start your spiritual journey, know that everything in life becomes a test. And most people don't test well when they're emotional. You know, they don't have their emotions under control. So self-mastery, seek self-mastery. That will help you handle all this mentally. I had self-mastery before I raised my consciousness. I didn't raise my consciousness before I had self-mastery, and I needed self-mastery because it would have driven me insane had I not had self-mastery. It would have driven me insane. So other people may not be as mentally ill as I was, but I had to become a self-master and master my mental illness, and then I began raising my consciousness. So that was my particular journey, and it, you know, that doesn't necessarily have to be yours. You know, you could just be a much more healthier adult mentally and accept some things that I couldn't accept, that I had to see for myself in order to accept. So and that's where your consciousness and your spiritual journey starts to bring your energies back to you, so you can see. And if you're learning from them, if you learn from them, and you can knock out 3 or 4 bad energies in a week. I was doing that for weeks. It was like left and right, boom, boom, boom. I was beating up. So my ex-wife was going, it was everywhere, right? And I just handled it all differently than I would have normally, and I broke those patterns. Right, and now I'm facing new patterns, and I'm trying to manage my energy so that I'm only putting out good patterns, right? So that I don't have to face those energies anymore, and I can live a less stressful life because I'm putting the stress on my brain by raising consciousness, right? Healing is another very important factor. Learning to heal properly, which is just doing art, or reading, exercise. Things that can heal your mind, like that. Exercise, art, anything like that. Anything that allows your mind to focus on what you're doing instead of the past or the future is going to help heal your brain. So I recommend definitely getting to the arts, but I think you'll probably naturally start to do that as you raise your consciousness anyway. Well, thanks for your time, and have a great day, and thank you very much.